Good morning. Thank you for tuning in.
Good morning.
I'm Christina.
And I'm Michelle.
Running the board today for us is Sam. She's back.
Hello.
Hi, Sam.
Hi. Hi, ladies. It feels like it's been a while. It's not even been that long.
It's been a week.
I know.
We have Sky in studio.
Hello.
We're going to have some very interesting perspectives here. We've got, Michelle and I, the 40-something, Sam, 20-something, and teenager. So a lot of different viewpoints here today. If you're not familiar with No Limits radio show, we basically talk about whatever we want, and the idea is we may not agree, but we have those conversations and explore conversations without boundaries. We're part of the Vets on Media family, so be sure to check out all the other great shows that are also part of Vets on Media. So you can check those out at vetsonmedia.com. We start off every show with the WWW.
WWW.
If you don't know what that stands for, it's the...
We don't know either.
Maybe we should just not tell them and have the mystery.
Have them figure it out. That's right.
It's where Michelle basically goes out there and she finds stories that are wild, wonderful, and sometimes weird. And we share our thoughts on them.
So you got first, Michelle?
You know what? We're going to start out, we kind of have a lot of wacky and weird. So we're going to start out with a little bit of wonderful, a little bit of serious note. Because we are part of Vets on Media, and I found this article that's out of Texas, and it is a story that I found on Yahoo News. Thanks, Yahoo. But anyway, this lady, Lanny Mae, her and her husband love going around and going to flea markets and thrift places and things like that. So they were rummaging through a flea market, and they found a flag, and on the flag there were all these written little messages. So they kind of thought it was interesting or odd. So come to find out that they were heartfelt messages to a young man that his unit left for him. And it was a Marine Lance Corporal named Fred, is all they knew. And they did find the mother of Fred Maciel, I think is how you pronounce his last name. And her name is Patsy, and so they are going to return the flag to Patsy. And they're not just mailing it to her, they are actually, and this was 170 miles from their hometown. So it wasn't like it was like in the same town or whatever. So they are driving, and they are going to meet at his resting place, and they're going to give the flag to her. So
That's pretty cool.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
It's really beautiful, and that they saw the importance of it. I thought it was...
Yeah, the mother said, I can't wait to read what they've wrote. I know it sounds crazy, but that is a piece of my son coming back to me, and I love them for that.
Sure. I mean, they were messages that were meant for her son, so how beautiful is that?
And where was the flag found?
In a flea market.
At a flea market.
How did it make its way there?
They said it's still a mystery. They have no idea. It was 170 miles away, though, from the mother's home. So they have no idea. But the sad part is that the fact that maybe some people are just ignorant, is the person whose little booth this was said, normally I sell flags for $30. However, this one had writing on it, so I sold it for $5.
And you would think that it would be more valuable.
Well, you would think she would have been smart. I guess, I don't know, maybe observant enough to actually see what her inventory was, to like read it and actually know, oh wait, this is something.
Important.
Yeah, right. This isn't a 3-year-old scribbling on a flag, so I'm going to discount it down to $5. This was something important, and memorable.
And truly priceless. I mean, it really
priceless.
is. There's no price that you can put on that flag.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
So yeah. So that's the wonderful.
That is definitely
All right, so what do we have for that wacky and weird stuff?
You want the weird one?
Sure.
Okay, so
I don't know what I'm asking
all right,
for.
so this was in Scotland.
Okay.
So at least it's not here in the U.S. However, this 38-year-old woman went to the doctors because she was shaking. She basically couldn't hold her pee, and she had severe weight loss. And so it turned out that she had a dildo in her vagina for over 10 years.
10 years?
10 years.
How do you not know that?
I don't know. I mean, just like, and it says it's a 5-inch toy. I mean, we're not talking about, you know,
Holy
like
crap.
the little dildo.
Yeah.
So it was
Just
5
like,
inches.
If it was small, I'm like, okay, maybe get lost up there, but.
Right, like a tampon,
Yeah,
you know,
right,
or something.
okay.
But no, this was like 5 inches long. I mean, this is like a
That's.
normal gray size dildo, and it's stuck for 10 years.
Oh,
Okay, what's
That's-
really interesting about this is that she clearly hasn't had a exam for 10 years. I mean, you're supposed to have an annual exam. So, I mean, do they not, where was this story from?
It was in Scotland.
Do they not do that in Scotland?
I don't know, but I'm trying to think like, okay, so I guess we would need a man for this. However, if you are a guy and you want to give your input, please call us because this question I'm posing is for men. So it's 602-399-7787. My question is, if you were having sex with this woman, wouldn't it feel different? No, I'm serious. Like, that's like a big obstacle up there. Like, this, like I said, this isn't like a little tampon that might like, this is like 5 inches of something.
So wouldn't they feel it? when
Right,
they were-
like, do you think they just
my
thought
only
she's
guess
tight?
is maybe he didn't venture in. He only used other things. Maybe she's not clean. I mean, you said she didn't have checks, so maybe she's got some, you know, STDs or something else down there that nobody wants to touch. So it's like, cool, I'll just do it from here.
Or maybe he did hit, maybe
He shoved it up.
he
higher.
hit it, maybe he was hitting it and he was like, yeah, I'm just,
I'm that big.
I'm hitting it. I'm hitting it hard.
You think he thought he was like so big that like he was like already in the wow?
So I got that footage or the
Footage of me.
the article. Sorry,
Footage?
the article, and she said it was a drunken encounter, huh?
Yeah.
And didn't remember whether she. How do you? Okay, can you make an inventory, right? Like, okay, so that one, oh wait, one's missing, right? Because she said she looked. She didn't remember whether she took it out or not.
Well, by the time that the surgeons found this, the toy's effects were potentially life-threatening. It had caused a bladder blockage, and it was actually forcing urine back into her kidneys.
I just don't know how you can do that for 10 years. I feel like
What
you'd
is
be
the
like,
size?
something's wrong.
Okay, so what is actually the size of your uterus?
Well, it changes, right?
I think so. I think it changes like,
Well, like when you're pregnant,
Yeah.
but I would assume if not,
right.
I don't know the average. You look it up. What's the
All right,
average
give me a
size?
second.
Sky? Sky, do you have an opinion on this?
Actually, that's the first thing on there. On,
You know,
Google.
it's not uncommon for a tampon to
Sorry.
get
here you go.
lost up in there. Like, women have had to go into their OBGYN and have that removed. So,
Yes.
so that's not uncommon. But I think when that happens, you're aware of that. You know, hey, that little stringy thingy got stuck up in there. Can you, some tongs, some tweezers, you know.
Something.
Yeah.
Apparently, after puberty, it's 7.6 centimeters and with a width of 4.5. Normal thickness is 3.0 centimeters.
So where'd the thing go?
And it says it'll change, the enlargement will change with the menstrual cycle and pregnancy and a few other things, but those are the big ones.
I just don't know how she didn't feel that, or
Something? Like I said, I want to know how a guy didn't feel that.
Are you sure she was having sex?
we don't know.
We don't know.
Like, maybe she wasn't. Maybe.
Maybe that drunken encounter was, well, maybe, no, she's not having sex. She's using toys. That's what she's doing.
Well, or she could also be a lesbian, I guess.
Yeah.
That's true.
She kept it hidden for all these years.
But never mind. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. I was like, I feel like if she was a lesbian, I don't know. I just feel like
Did their
Some-
partner would have like,
No, something.
seen? Yeah.
Well, I just feel like things wouldn't be right down there.
Like
If you have
smell-
right, I
Yeah.
mean, there had to be infection, something,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. That's pretty gross. So anyway, that's weird and wacky, and we're done talking about that chick's vagina because Sky's over there blushing and she doesn't know what to do.
No, I just want to go like vomit. But it's really gross.
It is really gross. But on the good news, here's the good side of that.
She lost weight?
If you ever, no. Well, yeah, she did lose weight.
Almost died, but.
If you ever
lost
go to the
weight.
doctor because there is a tampon up there, know that someone's done something more stupid. So
There you go.
you don't have to feel that. Speaking of stupid. Now, when you steal something, you're not necessarily the brightest person there is anyway, I assume, because, you know, if you can't afford it, then don't steal it. But anyway, in West Frankfort, Illinois, police investigating the theft of clothing and jewelry from a southern little boutique in Illinois arrested a woman after she posted, Facebook photos of herself wearing one of the stolen items.
Okay, so it was a boutique. So it wasn't like a Target where she could be like, oh, I bought this.
Correct.
They were one-of-a-kind pieces.
Correct. This was a little
That's
boutique,
pretty retarded.
and she stole it, and then she took a selfie. And not a very flattering selfie, I must say, but, you know. Yeah, so if you are stupid enough to steal something, please don't be stupid enough to post it on Facebook.
Yeah.
But people do the stupidest things.
I know.
Then, well, who found the pictures?
I think it just says the authorities, I guess there was a report made from the boutique, and then authorities
So they-
had gotten word.
Well,
of
if
this
she's
posting.
if she's a regular stealer, right? They'll know her face and they'll go look her up.
Okay, this picture is of her ass. She's not taking a selfie. Somebody else took this picture of her. Like, how do you take a selfie from that
It's
angle?
on the timer.
It could be on a timer.
But is that still a selfie? I
I
mean,
feel
if
like
you're,
No,
I feel
that's
like-
a booty pic.
Yeah,
oh, that's a booty
That's
pic?
a booty pic.
That's a booty pic.
I feel like
So,
Is that a
I
thing?
feel like the
That's a
word
thing.
selfie is just kind of any picture of yourself anymore. That's what that word is evolved to. At least that's how I feel, because people use it like, oh, you're gonna take a selfie? No, I'm gonna take a picture of my family. Like, no, it's not always a selfie. But I feel like that word has kind of evolved into taking a picture of yourself in general.
See, I feel like a selfie is
It
you
is.
are holding it, like, that's what a selfie is. Now, a booty pic, this is actually a thing.
It's actually a thing. Guys ask for booty pics. Pictures of just your butt. It's
Wow, that was a
weird.
great face Christina has right now.
Pictures of just your butt.
Yeah, pretty much.
So this wouldn't be a booty pic because her face is in it.
Yeah, I guess.
yeah.
It's a booty selfie pic.
It's weird.
Well, it's not very flattering. And the dress, if I was going to steal something, I would definitely not steal this dress. Just if you guys
No
don't
offense to
want,
boutique.
no offense to the boutique, but this is like a rainbow colored leopard print. I mean, it's not the cutest.
It's kind of like Easter threw up on it.
It's like,
wild.
Yeah.
it's like the
In the
leopard
wild.
ate too much Easter candy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of not cute.
And for those of you that are wanting to see what this dress looks like, I'm going to share the article from Huffington Post on the No Limits Radio Show page. So if you haven't already gone to facebook.com/No Limits Radio Show, go there so you can see this.
All right. So what else we got?
We have, now this is on a serious note, so I don't know what we're going to call this, but, well, serious and stupid. We'll call it serious and stupid.
Okay.
But this is out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A couple is accused of luring their 5-year-old son into the trunk of their car with candy to resolve his fear of the dark. They were granted probation this week, according to the officials.
Do you know how old these parents are?
Jeffrey and Danielle Lenhart are their names. I believe it does not have their age.
Okay.
But they do have other children, so this
They-
isn't their only child.
They do, and what is
Scary.
interesting to me is that the way this came to light, basically they gave him a flashlight, told him to look for sweets before locking him in the trunk at an amusement park that's about 10 miles from their home.
Oh, that's cool.
But what's interesting is that this was discovered, the fact that they were doing this was discovered when the couple's children were interviewed by child welfare officials, and that's for undisclosed reasons. So they aren't telling us
So they were already in trouble.
exactly. So they're not telling us while Child Protective Services were interviewing them, but when they were interviewing the other children, it came to light that they had done this. Now, this boy has a sibling who is 4, who is living with relatives. A younger sibling that is 1 has already been reunited with the parents. So they're getting probation for this. And after probation, all the charges will be dismissed and their records will be expunged.
What were they thinking? What parent thinks, okay, you have a fear of the dark. I am going to put you in the trunk of the car and force you to face that fear at 5 years old? I mean, now you've got a fear of of the dark. You've also been
Enclosed
traumatized.
spaces.
Yeah, you've also been traumatized because the people that you trust the most have completely broken that trust. There's no security. When I saw this, it reminded me of another story that I saw this past week, where, and this was an old story. This is a story from January, but it was something that was new to my Facebook feed. And I'm not going to share the video of this because I still can't get the images of what happened to this toddler out of my brain. But basically, a parent, because of their cult religion belief, forced a 3-year-old to get a tattoo on their arm. And the video shows the child in pain, crying. And, I watch that and I hear about this story, and it just makes me think, if you want to get a vehicle, if you want to be able to drive, we have tests, and you have to pass a test to get the privilege to drive a vehicle. To have a child, there's no test in place. Like,
Right.
I remember when I had Sky and when I was about to leave the hospital, I remember stopping at the door and saying, you guys are going to let me leave with this perfect little baby? Are you freaking nuts? Like, where's the test? How do you know I know how to take care of her?
Right.
Why don't we have tests for parents? If we were to do that,
When you say test for parents, like, what do you mean?
parenting tests. These
Like,
parents,
before they have their child?
before they have, like, when you go into your OBGYN initial consultation, why isn't part of that process, here, now you're going to go over to this parenting class. You're going to go to Parenting 101 so that you know how to take care of this person. Because if we did that, yes, it might be costly, but it also might be preventive for some of the other bullshit that happens down the road.
But it's not about cost. It's impossible to regulate that because even though there are people, and probably the people like you and I, who go to our OBGYN
You'd be responsible.
on a regular basis, and we would take the classes and whatever, we're probably not the ones who are going to put our kids in a trunk. The people who are probably more likely to leave their kids in a trunk and things like that are probably people who do not go to the OBGYN on a regular basis. If they did, and that person, demand that you have to take classes, are they going to show up? I mean, there's no way to regulate
They
that.
can't leave the hospital with the baby until they've done the class.
You realize not everybody has their child at a hospital, right?
You're just trying to find loopholes
El
in
Natural
my
works.
perfect system that I've just come up with.
So let me ask you ladies this then. If you had a child who was afraid of the dark, how would you fix the problem?
Well, I think my perspective is I think everybody is scared of something. And some things I think you can overcome. I think some people will probably never overcome those fears.
What do you think are some that are not overcomable?
Well, in this situation, if I had a child that was afraid of the dark and I wanted to overcome that, there are much better ways. Like, let's try going to sleep. I'm going to lay here with you. We're going to turn out the lights. It's going to be dark, but I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
And you're there for a certain amount of time. And then, that half hour turns into 20 minutes. And then it turns into 15. I mean, there's obviously better ways you can try to overcome this than let me lock you in a trunk. Because let's not even talk about security, heat, or any other things that come along with that.
Safety,
Oxygen, being able to breathe.
That's important. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's kind
So
of
did you
important.
guys ever have a nightlight as a kid?
Of course.
I don't remember.
I had a fish tank in my room, so that was my nightlight. So that's how I remember. I was a little afraid of the dark, but my window was like right near like a street light, so that was my nightlight.
I'm still afraid of the dark, okay? I mean, the dark is scary. You don't know what's there. So, it is. The dark is scary.
So after the show, everyone, Christina and I are going to go tonight. I'm going to take her out to the desert. I'm going to give her a flashlight, put her in my trunk, and see how that works out.
I also had a fear of monsters under your bed, and for pretty much my entire adult life, my bed has been like on the floor, like not up.
So that you don't have to worry
So
about
yeah, because if the
Interesting.
bed is on the floor, then there's no, I mean, shit's not getting underneath there, like it's impossible.
it.
Bugs can still get under there.
That's Christina's no, don't. You're not gonna sleep tonight if you do this. Michelle.
Oh, it's on a bed frame now, so it's
Okay.
like, it's raised, it's off
Do you
the
guys have
ground.
any fears now? Like besides monsters?
Just heights. I'm scared of heights.
Heights? I wonder what it is about heights. That's like such a common fear. Why is that?
Being up high or looking at heights?
Being up high.
Or do planes scare you though?
No.
Okay.
And I can also ride roller coasters. And I'm okay once it's going, like after that first initial,
drop.
Drop and whatever, I'm okay. But I'm scared, phenomenally scared on that ride up. On the ride up, I'm scared, but then I love it.
What about cliffs?
What about what?
Like cliffs.
I know we're going to be close to those. I don't like slow, high things. Like, those, what are those things called that go over amusement parks? And they're those little carts that hang from the wires, and everybody loves them.
You're talking just like where it just goes over, like zip lines and stuff?
Well, but it's not fast.
But,
there are those like carts, like Ferris wheels.
Yeah.
Ferris wheels will be great as long as you promise me I'm not going to stop at the top. Like, just put me on last, give me the ride, and make sure I'm the first one off, because I don't want to stop at the top either. So I'm kind of weird on heights, but I would never like bungee jump or jump from a plane or anything like that. Never.
Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
Yes.
Does that freak you out? From a distance, so you can do a distance, but you can't get up close. Is that
correct? I can go to the Grand Canyon and I can look out at how beautiful it is. Would I get close to the ledge and look down? No.
I've lived in Arizona for over 20 years. I've never been to the Grand Canyon. I have no desire to go to the Grand Canyon because the height scares me. Like, I am terrified.
Okay, now you asked earlier looking at heights, so does that bother you? So if I looked at a mountain and you go, oh, it's a mountain, it's
No,
scary.
a mountain is, like, looking at a mountain, that's not scary. It's when you're standing below a tall building or palm tree and then you look up. Like, I'm afraid I'm going to fall over.
Well, that has something to do with your balance.
She's on the ground and freaking out. Oh, dear. So how do you deal with planes?
I'm fine with that. I love flying.
You can't see it.
I've been flying since I was 5 years old, so I love flying. But standing, like, oh my gosh, downtown Chicago used to freak me out because I would just have to walk looking down at the ground. Like, I could not look up at any of the high rises, because I was afraid I was just going to, like, fall over.
Can I just say, if I saw a kid do that in the street, it would be freaking hilarious.
Oh, that's funny.
The Grand Canyon, even watching people on TV
that
are visiting the Grand Canyon, I'm like, oh, don't do it, get away, get away, get away, get away.
I'm the same way with movies. If you're in movies and there's someone like walking what am I talking about?
Or
like
something like that.
Anything.
Ledge, man on a ledge.
Yes.
Or that thing they have at the Grand Canyon where you can, like, walk out onto the
You turn with the glass, yeah.
Why would you do that?
It's a thing.
Doesn't bother me at all.
What if there's an earthquake and then...
Then I might back up, but that's just out of pure, like, get out of the building, like, don't die.
Sarah, what are you afraid of?
I think heights. I think that's my only fear.
What's that?
Cockroaches.
Oh, cockroaches.
They're the worst.
Bugs are pretty gross.
Especially the ones that fly. That's creepy.
Cicadas. Hate
No,
those things.
there's cockroaches that fly.
No, I know, but you know what a cicada is?
No.
No,
Yes,
those,
you do.
those
Are they the ones that
big,
make oh, yeah,
and they
yeah,
make the big noise, all the time?
Yeah.
Those things are pain.
They leave their shells on the tree.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to collect those.
A lot of kids do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always just smash lightning bugs on my skin that would draw out my name, so I don't.
Holy, what the? That's violent.
No, I'm from Ohio. It's not violent. That's just what you did when you were a kid in Ohio. There's
I'm
lightning
from
bugs
Ohio.
everywhere.
Okay.
Here you don't see them.
No, in Illinois,
I didn't see bugs.
we had lightning bugs too. But what we would do is we would catch them, put them in a little jar, and then our parents, after we went to sleep, our parents would let them out. We
Oh, I
didn't,
put them
like-
in jars before too. I saved them too, but
She smashed them as well.
But you killed them.
I would never do that now. I think that's so disgusting. I can't believe I ever did
I
it.
remember-
But I did it.
I remember kids back in like elementary school, they would used to take the raisin boxes from lunch and they'd hold onto the box and hide them in their pockets. And the boys would go out to the field and go catch ladybugs, stick them in the box, and then try to either light the box on fire or smash the box or something like that. And I remember being so upset and trying to tell, like, the aides or whatever you call them, to like, they're hurting the bugs. What are you doing? And I just remember that being a horrible thing.
She's scarred for life.
I know.
I bet you she doesn't have any small raisin boxes in her house.
I want
We
like
should-
raisins and bagels. So.
We should get her a bunch of
Right,
raisin boxes
for Christmas.
with ladybugs in them.
How horrifying would that be?
We found her fear.
To open up a a raisin box and find bugs rolling out.
Oh, jeez.
I'll give you cockroaches then, Christina.
You know what? That was a very mean thought, and I apologize.
Yes.
She totally didn't mean that. I can just hear it in her voice. So anyway, back to the parents in the Pennsylvania and the
Oh, yeah.
the trunk. That's where the story started before we have to probably go on break here soon. But anyway, I would be interesting to see, and I really hope that this isn't one of these cases where something happens down the road to one of these children because, you know, they were obviously being looked at and anyway by CPS. So who knows? I don't know.
What else do you have for us, Michelle?
Last but not least, who knows this model that's come out as a transgender?
I have never seen her before.
I feel like there's a lot of
name-
models you never see.
I
Except
want to hear you pronounce her name.
I'm assuming it was Andre, and now it's Andrea,
Okay.
is what
So
I
the J is
believe it is. The
silent?
J is silent.
oh, it's guy to girl.
It's guy to girl.
Okay.
And she has done some runway modeling, and she actually did a runway model show, where she did some clothing as a male and some clothing as a female. But she now has come out as a transgender. She's had the surgery.
So
She's all
perfect
female.
androgynous model.
So is transgender where they identify themselves as an opposite sex? Or, because I was watching, there was an episode of America's Next Top Model. Was it season 9, I think?
Such an addicting.
I think
such
season
an addicting
9.
show.
Yeah, I think it was season 9, where one of the contestants was transgendered also. And when you shared this story, Michelle, I thought that that was the model, but that model was black. So, and this model is white, so it's definitely not the same model.
Oh my God, there's more than one? Shit.
But that the model that was in America's Next Top Model actually had female parts internally and male parts
I think you're
externally.
mistaken.
I
No,
heard
you're
her say
wrong.
this.
No, you're wrong. Because I've watched that season before, and she was just transgender. She was a guy, and then she.
Her name was Isis.
Yes.
Isis King.
So the definition of
I love it.
transgender, and then we'll find this woman, but the definition of transgender is of, relating to, or being a person who identifies with or expresses a gender identity that differs from the one which corresponded to the person's sex at birth. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they have had a sex change.
No.
It just means they relate to the other side. But I think, and maybe I better look it up, I might be wrong, but I think she's had
She has.
She's had the
completed-
surgery.
yeah,
She's
had the
completed it.
surgery, and she's completed that and feels that,
Yeah.
you know, she
I
doesn't
will
need to hide.
say he makes a good girl. Like he looks like a chick there, like completely. Like I thought it was a woman first, and then was turning into a man.
Well, this person is a she now. So.
I know. I'm just saying she looks really good because I find that some transgenders you can see a lot of their prior sex, if you will, but she really does look like a very pretty girl.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous.
So she is gorgeous, and I found it interesting. I was looking up the photos before her transition. But even before her transition, she was doing both. She was doing both female and male modeling.
Right.
But even her male, I could find a few of them where she really was portrayed as a male.
Mm-hmm.
But some of her most famous pictures of her as a male were no shirt, but she still had like the long hair, like
She was
It was a weird-
androgynous. I can never say that word, right?
it was just a weird photo. You know what I mean? Because it was like, okay, she definitely is a man, because you can tell by the chest. But then they did the makeup and the, whatever, and the long hair, so it was kind of it was interesting. So
Very high fashion stuff.
Did she have a feminine look even in those early male pictures?
in most of them, they did the eye makeup and whatever. I know some men wear eyeliner and
Right.
stuff.
Eyeliner.
But guyliner, okay. Anyway, but they did his eyes so much like that I feel like it made him look feminine.
You're right. I'm looking at some of them now. It's like the smoky eye, like what Angelina Jolie would wear on the red carpet type smoky eye.
But why is this a thing? Like, and this is the thing, like, with this story, and even with stories when people come out and, come out of the closet and publicly announce their sexuality, I wonder, why is this a continual story? And maybe this story is a story because of the person who's struggling with this and for the other people that are struggling with this. I just would hope that as society as a whole, we've gotten past it and that it's not a big deal. I mean, when I saw this, I was like, okay, great for you, it's.
But we haven't gotten past it.
I guess,
You know that.
I guess in some ways
I mean,
too.
when you look at the way Rob's kids, like when they saw the episode of America's Next Top Model, we haven't gotten past it. It's just
I don't know. I think this one kind of pops out too because it is the fashion world. Like when you come into the fashion world, you are a guy, you are a girl, you are this size. You better not be over, size 4. It's very strict in that world, and I think that's why this one is a little bit more, out there in the public, just because of you have to identify yourself from the beginning. There is no changing, and when you change, you mess stuff up. And now his clientele will be different. His, the way they go about shooting him will be different, stuff like that.
Well, she's now a she. He's now a she.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying.
She.
But now,
So
now she can model dresses.
Should we talk more about transgender and what the younger people feel compared to us when we get back?
Yes, let's go to a break, and then when we get back, we'll talk more about this.
Okay, so I am Michelle.
I'm Christina, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Thank you.
That was really good.
You got 3 minutes and 30 seconds if anyone needs to use the restroom.
Did you just fall over?
Almost.
like the mother looking in background.
All right, so where are we going from here? Basically just kind of winging it?
Yeah, well, my WWW's over. Christina said she's got the rest.
Oh, I got lots of stuff for us.
All right, sounds good. Have you guys seen the trending, okay, I'm gonna pull this over in your other screen. Have you guys seen the trending of this creepy thing?
What the hell is that?
That
It
is,
looks like a Cars bag.
it's a Happy Meal, box that's, I think it's from Cars or whatever, but it's been a running joke that they're using that and putting it in all sorts of different pictures and stuff like that. So it'll be on a fridge, it'll be on a signpost, you name it.
I think it's funny.
I just thought it was interesting there.
You know what I love is when people text me during the show.
I know I thought Parker was trying to call me because I had 3 phone calls, 2 no caller IDs, and then some Phoenix number. So I thought maybe Parker was calling from his dad's house, but he said no, and I'm like, who the hell is calling?
Was it one of you guys who posted the thing about the restaurant changes in New York? There's a restaurant in New York City that was getting a lot of complaints about their service.
I saw that somewhere, but I didn't post it.
I don't know. Maybe I just
And then they did something.
They went through and they looked through their old tapes, and that basically everyone, the only difference was everyone was using their cell phone. People were taking pictures of their food, texting before they even looked at the menu, and so like the time it took for them to order went from like 8 minutes to like 20 minutes, and then they would wait for their food. When they got their food, they would take pictures of it and all this other stuff so it wouldn't get cold before they ate it, and so they'd send it back more often, and it ended up that the total time it took for someone to eat dinner normally was like an hour-ish, and it went up to 2 hours because of their cell phones, because they were Instagramming pictures of food, taking selfies of each other, asking the waiters to take pictures of their group, stuff like that.
That's interesting. Is everything okay?
You got 50 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Pat Bennett just posted, where's the live feed?
Can you,
Which one?
the video
link?
feed?
Give me a second.
Yeah, she's on the No Limits show. She commented on the Huffington Post with the woman selfie in a stolen dress.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Let me get us back on the air. I'll send it.
Yep, thank you.
Kelly was just asking me if the kids had gotten off. Well, like, I don't know why she doesn't just text Rob. But whatever.
What time did they play me?
Heads up.
9. Welcome back.
We're back.
We're back. Okay, so before we went to the break, we were talking about transgender. And, I shared the opinion, and specifically this came up because of a model who has come out that she's made the transition from a male to a female. And I shared that I was surprised that this is still a thing. And I thought that we were moving further past that. Sky brought up an interesting point, which, Rob's kids who are 10 and 11 seemed confused by this. We were watching America's Next Top Model, and I think as children do, maybe especially if your parents haven't talked about it and been like open about it, I think there was a lot of giggling and a lot of questions and a lot of confusion. Maybe because in our household we've talked about that and that being a person's choice and it, being open and accepting of who people are. I don't know if that is what the difference was.
I think some of it comes with the region you live in too.
Okay, so they live on the East Coast, which maybe is a bit
little
more
old school sometimes.
conservative.
I found that like when I learned what
Michelle was like making funny faces at me while I was talking.
So I said I'll just show everybody.
Yeah. I found that when my mom was trying to explain to us, I kind of questioned it earlier than my sister did. I was like, what's going on here? This is different. And, she would explain to me when I asked. And my sister, she was totally oblivious to the whole thing for a long time. And my mom was like, well, when she's ready, she'll figure it out, And it wasn't something that was taboo. It was something that when you got there, you got there. And as a kid, you don't have to know that stuff necessarily.
Right.
So if you see two girls kissing on the side of the street, you go, Mom, what are they doing?
Right.
And then you kind of go from there, I think.
What do you think, Stan?
I think it was kind of weird because, like, we'd tell Brett that she identifies as a girl, and then he'd still refer to her as a he, which I feel like is kind of disrespectful to her because she identifies as a girl, and deciding that I'm going to call her a he, and I don't care what she feels, it's what I want to call her and what I'm comfortable with.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in his defense, though, he's a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty young. So
Yeah.
the reality is I think in his mind, I mean, I get your reasoning, and I definitely think by your age, you should be able to understand that, hey, she recognizes with being female, so you would call her her.
Right.
On the flip side of that, though, I think there's times we're talking about current people and parents whose children are going through identity crises and things like that. And we don't, he, she, we are kind of the same way. What is the correct way to do it?
Not to be disrespectful. Like,
Not to be disrespectful.
I remember one time I went to a gay bar, and yeah, that's what it was.
I like how you say I went to a gay bar?
Well, this was many years ago. This was probably 5 years ago, and they had men that were dressed in drag.
Mm-hmm.
So I found, and they were freaking gorgeous. Like, oh my gosh! I walked in and felt like the girls that I was with. We walked in, and I was like, can we please go somewhere where I feel pretty, because all of these guys are so much prettier than us.
Like you thought you looked hot when you left? Yeah.
I looked great when I left the house, and I walked in and I was like, I am not the prettiest girl in the room. But then I found myself struggling with, do I call that person a man? Do I call them a woman? Like, it was very confusing for me. Sky, you have a tendency to rise to the defense of those that you feel are being misunderstood or unappreciated, or she definitely has that in her, and I saw that taking place about that. So I want to know, with people your own age, do you find that you have to do that a lot, that you have to rise to the defense of people that maybe identify themselves as a different gender? Is that something that happens at your school, or are people more open?
No, people are not more open. It's so Megan, she's very conservative, she's very religious, and she's very anti-gay. And I have to kind of explain to her, like, I don't understand what your issue is, and she's not okay with same-sex marriage. So we kind of differ on that idea. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah.
Oh, you're so my daughter. I don't know where I'm going.
So, no, I get where you're going. What you're saying is, you want to look at it, Christina, like, you see this article. Is it really a big deal? We know there's transgender, that's fine. They can be who they want to be, do what they want to do, dress the way they want to dress. He, she, it, whatever. They can do what they want.
Right.
But the reality is that there are still many, many people.
Even I think that people aren't okay with it and open to.
Really, I say we're about 50-50 now.
And I think there's more things, I think same-sex relationships, I think it's the little things that are helping to make it not such a big deal. There's a show on ABC Family, and the teenage,
What show?
It's
Chasing Life.
It's a horrible show. Okay, look.
No, it's not.
There's nothing really fantastic about it.
All right,
there's
but-
something about the storyline that just attracted me,
Okay.
and I'm totally addicted to this trifle show. Okay,
This was like me and Army Wives.
okay,
Horrible show, but I had to watch it every week.
exactly.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So one of the characters in this show doesn't identify with what sex she wants to date. Like, she doesn't want the label of I like boys, I like girls. She
She's
just
bisexual.
she doesn't even want to identify as that.
Okay.
She doesn't want to label it as that. She's attracted to, and in this, I don't know if she's maybe struggling with what do I feel, who do I like, or what have you. But there is a moment in this show where she does make a connection with another girl, and she kisses this girl. Now, this is on an ABC Family show. When I saw that, I thought, bravo. I feel like it's more of that, seeing that, where it's a friendship, a romantic relationship.
I do feel like sometimes they're throwing it in our face a little bit too. It's kind of like there's a Disney show that I had on the other day because I was babysitting, and I was watching the show while these kids were doing it, and they saw nothing wrong with it, but it's just like, do we really need to make sure we hit every ethnicity so we don't get in trouble for being politically correct? Like, for example, it's just, I don't know. I think there was 2 white kids, a black kid, and an Indian kid. And the 4 of them were all adopted, right?
You're talking about Jessie.
Yeah, okay, that's the show. Yeah, and
we
it's
do
just
need
kinda
to
like,
have every ethnicity.
but
because
do you have to have it? I felt like it was thrown in my face, like, hey, we're a family, even though we're all different. It's like, okay, guys, we got it. I feel like probably, I assume in the future that will not be as in my face, but right now it just feels like, okay, so you got the sassy little black girl, the white girl's prissy, the white boy is your typical white boy, and the Indian boy
Is smart.
is stupid smart, and then he also, in real life, he doesn't have an Indian accent. He talks like us.
now, see, those type of the stereotypes, I think, are horrible. But having a show that has many different ethnicities, I think, is a great thing, because for so long, you've had shows where they are predominantly white or predominantly black. I mean, The Cosby Show, that was an all-black family.
BET.
Right. So, but here's the thing: predominantly white cast shows. How are you identifying with that? If you are Asian, if you are
Well,
Indian,
I
if
can
you
watch.
are
I can watch Kevin Hart, and he's a black guy, and he makes a lot of black jokes. But I can still identify with it.
sure.
But what's wrong with just being
The
your
family,
average,
family.
typical family?
There's
The
nothing wrong
average
with that,
typical
and we have that.
family.
We have that on shows.
But I think what Sam's saying is more and more shows are feeling like they have to include other things,
Or it's not cool.
or it's not okay.
Or maybe it's because of
and-
marketing.
well, like
By
look at-
doing it, I mean, every decision every decision that a show makes, it is because of dollars.
Right, of course.
Because
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say
No, you go ahead. No, you go
another good one is I don't watch it. My sister does Glee. You've got the person in the wheelchair, you've got the gay one, you've got the lesbian, you've got the this, you got the that, and it's like, okay, guys, I get it, And they make it more of a deal than it needs to be, I feel, sometimes.
See, and I feel like,
I think that it's the exposure that gets people past it and okay with it. I love Glee. They talk about a lot of social issues, and they talk about it in a way that, like, it explains it, and it's great.
here's the thing, there has to be compassion with it. Like, when we put those views out there, and you shared about your friend who is very Christian and doesn't believe in same-sex marriage and doesn't believe in transgender, meeting them where they're at with their belief and having a conversation with them about that, and then realizing that we don't have to be on the same page, and that's okay. Like, they don't have to get it.
They don't have to agree. You just have to agree that not everyone is in your mindset.
Right.
So fine, if your religion says that you can't be gay, you can't do this, you can't do that, it's okay if that's what you want to believe in. But you also, if you're religious, then you cannot be a hypocrite and
judge others.
Judge other people who have different beliefs. So,
well, and I think this inability to have a conversation about opposing views and not take it too far. I saw this take place this past week with the death penalty issue. This was a big deal here in Arizona because there was the execution of Joseph Wood.
Was that here?
That was here in Arizona.
Florence.
An execution is supposed to take like 10 minutes. Well, in this case, it took 2 hours. The person that's being Joseph Wood brutally murdered his ex-wife and his ex-father-in-law. It was what he did to them. His ex-wife said, was standing there saying, "Please don't," and he said, "I have to because I told you I was going to kill you," and then shoots her in the chest. And so horrific, horrible. After his execution that took 2 hours, he was sedated, and I guess they used a different cocktail. And there may have been some issues.
Was this a new cocktail that had not been tried?
Bet they don't use that one again.
Well, actually, Arizona right now, all executions are on hold while they investigate this and determine if they want to move forward. But here's the thing that I found interesting. When I shared this story and asked people what their thoughts were on the death penalty, on execution, people get so passionate about what they believe and what they think, and they're not willing to hear the other side. I came out with it from the very beginning saying, I don't feel bad for this guy. I couldn't care less about it. He was a murderer. He killed 2 people. So what if it took 2 hours? Who cares? I'm glad that he's not sitting on death row and that we're not paying for him. Mm-hmm. What was interesting was the different opinions that came in and how much it actually costs to execute someone. And the execution versus life in prison, which I found fascinating. Execution is actually more expensive because of the appeals process. And when a case is going into trial, if they're going for the death penalty, just that point of it, it is 3 times as expensive to try the person. Just going into it, when the lawyer says, we're going for the death penalty, when you compare those, it is so much more expensive to go for the death penalty. So it was really interesting to hear those opposing viewpoints, and I have to say, I'm on the fence about how I feel about this one now.
What, as far as whether or not there should be a death penalty, or about this botched execution?
I have a question. Why can't we just bring back like the guillotine or something like that?
That's a great question, and the reason that we can't is understand that execution is for us. Like, the way that it's carried out, the way that it's done, it's for our peace of mind. Just like when you put your trash out and it goes away to the dump, how many of you have gone to visit the dump to see what happens there?
All the time.
We don't. We really don't. So
I go dumpster diving every Saturday after the show, so I see it all the time. But anyway, you know why I feel bad about this botched execution, and this is kind of what you're talking about. You don't want to see it. I actually feel bad I'm sure that there were family members who have been through enough in this case as far as who he murdered. And part of me, I guess, if that was me, would feel, yes, I want to be there to put closure on this. And really the last thing that I would want to add to this horrific chapter in my story is to watch this man for 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I would have enough nightmares that I don't need that added to it. So I actually feel bad for the family members.
And the
Sam, I
family-
could care less, but
And the
I feel
family
bad
has
for them.
spoken out and said, because every radio host is talking about this. And I think the frustration, what I heard from the family, their frustration was that people are talking more about his execution than what he did to the victims.
Right.
And how painful that is. So moving away from the Arizona murderer.
Yeah, 'cause
and
he's
just- Yeah. He's dead.
He's dead, let's move
Yeah.
on.
But the death penalty, we've got 3 different age groups here. Michelle, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think we should have a death penalty?
I do, but I think it's all handled wrong. Meaning you're talking about the expense of the trial, the expense of all of the appeals and things like that. There are so many cases out there where these people have admitted, I did it. I did it. I'm not fighting it. I'm not arguing it. I absolutely did this. Yes, I killed 3 people, or yes, I molested 25 kids, whatever it is.
Right.
They admit to it, and they still are allowed the appeal process in case something was handled wrong. You know what?
So in case of a technicality.
Correct.
Right.
You know what? He said he did it. Okay? The law is, you do this, it's the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So kill him. You know what I mean? Like, literally, why is all of that there?
Right.
We talk about how we don't have money for education. We don't have money for healthcare. We don't have education or money for this, A, B, C, D. We have lots of things we don't have money for.
Right.
Then why are we allowing these inmates who have admitted to this guilt, and their peers have found them guilty, and they have been, punished to death, then kill them next week. Just do it. Give them their last meal and kill them.
Okay, and by what method?
I don't really care.
I'm with Michelle on this completely. I think that's definitely a good part of the problem. When it comes to the way to do it, what do you guys think? I'll pose that question to you guys. Do you like old methods, like hanging, guillotine, or what?
Hanging, the last hanging that was done in Arizona, the reason that we no longer do hangings, we've never done firing squad in Arizona. I don't think we've ever done guillotine, but the last hanging that was done, we no longer do it because the woman's head actually snapped off and it was so gruesome and bloody. So again, this goes back to...
Is it sad that I just go, so what's the point?
Well, what the point is we have to see that,
We don't want to.
and we don't want to see that.
But at the same
Because
time,
it makes us feel bad
choose-
about who we are. Like,
But if you also did choose to go see it, I mean, I go, yeah, there are people out there that go, yeah, they need to be, they killed or punished for their crimes of what they did. But I don't necessarily want to see it. I go, sure, cool, they're dead, fine.
okay, so is justice about teaching them a lesson, or is justice about protecting society as a whole and removing the person?
Teaching them a lesson. Because we're punishing them to teach them, right? They're
So
in
it's an
jail.
eye for an eye.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, you're
So
teaching, you're in
if-
jail to learn a lesson, right? So you're in jail for 5 months because you stole a dress and took a selfie. So you better learn from it. If you don't learn from it, you're gonna go back in again. It's time out.
So by that rationale, if it's an eye for an eye, when somebody steals something, their hand should get cut off?
No, I'm not saying to that extreme. I'm just saying for the death penalty.
Well, hold on. The death penalty is absolutely not to teach them a lesson. They're dead. Okay, they're never they're never going to do it again. Okay, everyone. It's not really to teach them a lesson. It's to deter other people from doing it.
Yes.
But does it deter? I mean, does the death penalty deter?
Well, does it now because they sit in jail for 30 years before it happens? And when we do it, it is a very peaceful, take the shot, and then you'll
Go to
die.
sleep.
Right.
I think
we
that
should
is part of
have-
the problem.
Okay, so here's what, if we're gonna have the death penalty, I don't wanna see it, I don't want it messy, and I think a lot of people don't wanna see the mess of it, but I'm also a person that just really doesn't like mess, like.
That is true. We had this conversation.
Yes, and we won't have this conversation right now. But, so maybe the thing to do is do they have guns that are like set to like phaser and they just like
Yeah,
obliterate
Star
somebody?
Trek, yeah.
Okay, in Star Trek. So maybe that's what we need to do.
They're not real guns, Christina.
Make them real.
Well,
We
I
don't-
think
Okay,
they could
but
make
here-
them real.
Here's a
Gun
theory.
set to phaser,
Here's a
and then they're
theory
just
that
vaporized.
I've heard in the past. Create a firing squad out of people who are volunteers. You this is one that a person has come up with. Make it so that the types of guns you use, there's a certain number you can use, a certain caliber. So you're not blowing somebody up with a 50 cal, right? You might use something smaller. All the people are chosen at random. You don't know who you would be executing, and you could sign up for this firing squad. You go through like a background check and all those other things. That way you lose costs, and the people who want to be there and see that, they can see it.
But the people that sign up to kill someone, isn't there some underlying problem?
Right.
Or the people who are like, yeah, I'm gonna go kill someone today.
Yeah, that's.
Maybe they can get their anger out. I don't know.
So we're gonna create the purge. That's what's gonna happen.
It's like Dexter.
I don't know. I mean, it was kind of an interesting idea that I had heard. It was one of the interesting problem solvings I've ever heard for that sort of problem. I guess I mean, if you're that type of person, you're gonna someone's got to do the injection, right?
A doctor has to do the injection.
And they're killing. Are they okay with killing people? Yes.
When a vet puts your dog down, they're also doing
no.
the injection. And not that I'm saying that dogs and people are the same, but when we're talking about criminals, they kind of are.
Oh, but I love my dog more.
Okay, what about the Christian aspect of it? Do we have a Christian in the room?
Not really.
Well, what are you defining as a Christian?
Well, some of the thoughts, if you have a religious belief that opposes the death penalty, I would love for you to call in, because some of the comments that I got were related to that were opposing the death penalty.
Oh,
Was, the 10 Commandments and thou shalt not kill, that
But
kind
didn't
of.
they stone people back in those days?
Yeah, because it's an eye for an eye in the Bible.
Right.
I don't. Whatever.
I don't, whatever.
Okay, so not if you're a Christian,
Okay,
but however,
we're
if
getting
you
off-
believe it is wrong because of religious beliefs. How's that, Christina? Give us a call. She's multitask. She's not
Yeah, she is.
multitasker.
She's reading.
602-399-7787. Christina's reading
So,
something.
Michelle-
Thank you to whoever just posted something, because we lost Christina. Make your post short, people.
Mark, you better call in.
So, Michelle, can you think of a way to fix it, or do you not really?
To fix which part? I got lost.
To weigh
You got lost in my distraction?
Yeah, I got lost in your
Yeah.
distraction.
You need to
in
manage
the
that
way
shit.
to kill, kill someone. In this
You know
case.
what? Just literally, I don't understand why it has to be so hard. Take a gun and put it up to his head and shoot them. I don't care.
Do you know how messy that is?
You put him
Who
in.
has to
Dexter
clean-
does it.
Okay, when they
Who
kill
has
the
to clean
people,
that up?
someone has to clean that up.
That's why we need a gun that is set to phaser. If we're gonna do this whole execution
Well,
thing,
when we get
the
that,
person just needs to be vaporized. I'm sure that there is somebody in the military that knows how to do this.
Well, I don't really care how they shoot him. I guess probably the easiest way is the hanging. Just
Or
put 'em-
guillotine. I find guillotine's
No,
quick,
just-
easy, and they put their head in the basket, and you're good to go.
I kind of feel like that's not the cleanest way. I feel like the hanging is probably the easiest and the cleanest, and just
But
call it.
sometimes, like if they have a venereal disease, we can.
Well, when we
What?
get there, we get there, I guess.
What does hanging someone have to do with a venereal disease?
Okay, so I heard the story about the last hanging that we did in Arizona, and it was this woman, and I don't remember when it happened, but she had a venereal disease which weakened her joints, and so when they hung her, her head snapped off.
Okay, well, how often is that going to happen? I mean, I've never even heard of that venereal disease.
It was syphilis or some list. I don't know.
So what I keep hearing, though, is that you're worried about the mess. Besides the mess of the death, what bothers you about it? Or do we want to wait on that, maybe?
Sure, let's wait on that.
And then we'll come back to that?
All right.
She's got to think about it.
We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
So I'm Michelle.
And I'm Christina.
Oh.
Eva Dugan. Her name was Eva Dugan.
Eva Dugan?
Eva Dugan.
Eva
Oh,
Dugan.
she is not
She was a
pretty.
convicted murderer whose execution by hanging at the state prison in Florence, Arizona resulted in decapitation and influenced the state of Arizona to replace hanging with the lethal gas.
5 of her husbands, all 5 of her husbands disappeared.
Now, this was in 1930. Oh, I think I saw her on
Truck
the IDD channel.
Yeah, I've seen this lady before.
Okay, so after,
I'd say, I don't know, I feel like hanging's better than electrocution. I feel like those are pretty nasty.
all right, so after this, do we go to, I really want to talk about some of the crazy laws that went into effect. Because one of them has me pretty freaked out.
What?
Wait, what are we talking about right now?
Okay.
Okay, so let's finish this.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about
We'll let you segue.
the laws. We'll do laws, and then we'll do 50 Shades of Grey. and call it a day.
Perfect. Good. Great show, ladies. We've got some good discussions, good banter.
Don't worry, I'm riling you up on purpose a little.
I know. And I'm good with it.
Okay.
Well, she probably had. Where does it talk about her venereal disease?
Oh.
Did you find? Is that real? I don't think that's real. I'm looking it up.
Eva Dugan.
Had her head jerked off clean in 1930.
Disease.
I don't know where you're
Given
getting
to her
this.
physical condition,
Uh-huh.
murder, robbery.
Oh, she was the first woman to be legally executed in Arizona. True story.
You want to go down to imprisonment and execution.
She gave interviews to the press for $1 each and sold embroidered handkerchiefs she knitted while in prison to pay for her own coffin.
That's pretty dark.
See, now why don't they have to do that? Like, okay, that's it. I think
Oh, Christina thinks she solved it.
But okay,
they should have to pay for their own execution
okay, I won't answer that right now. But
by making license plates or doing some such bullshit. If it's going to cost $300,000 for their execution just because of the appeals process and everything, they should have to pay for it. I'm just saying.
okay.
It doesn't say that she had syphilis. I think you heard that wrong.
Yeah, I'm not reading anything on that.
Yeah, I'm not finding that she had syphilis.
I don't even see.
Or any list. I think
Did,
it's any
did you
list.
get the fact that her head actually popped off, or 'cause I don't
Oh,
see
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah, it says. Her head came, snapped right off. That is true. I mean, I at least saw that.
Convicted of auto theft?
And murder and robbery.
Yeah, let's see. I'm
I
trying
don't
to...
know. I feel like
She's
that's
a
pretty
cabaret
impressive.
singer, suddenly moved to Arizona where she worked for an elderly rancher.
Heads up, we're almost back.
Okay.
Welcome back. Welcome to the Cray Cray.
We're back.
Okay, so we've been talking about,
Eva Dugan.
we were talking about Eva Dugan.
She was
Yeah.
the lady who had her head pop off.
Maybe she didn't have syphilis. Maybe I heard it wrong.
Yeah, we can't find or verify that she had any type of list, as Christina said.
Syphilis, some kind of list.
Okay, so before we left, I asked you a question about how you were just worried about the cleanliness of the death. Besides that, is there anything else that pops out to you?
I just want to know for certain. Like, I don't feel that the death penalty should be one size fits all. We know that our judicial system is not perfect, and that some people, we've heard countless stories of people being imprisoned for decades only to find out that they actually weren't guilty of any crime. So I can't help but wonder how many people have gone to the gallows, gone to their death, and they actually were innocent. That's some of my concern.
Well, let's take that away and let's talk about the people who say, I did it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those people.
Okay, so if we only execute the people that said, I did it,
Yes.
nobody's going to say I did it anymore. Okay, lesson learned.
Oh, yes. Some of them are still going to say it because they're crazy. They're batshit crazy.
So we only execute the people that
Are batshit crazy.
No, I was saying I would get executed.
Only if you kill someone.
Okay.
That we know.
That we know of. I mean, if they just disappeared, there's no body.
Okay.
No body, no crime.
Okay. Never mind. I don't want to have that conversation right now.
Oh, okay. So, but we'll move on. We'll talk about the death
Okay.
penalty. Maybe we should bring in a couple attorneys sometime and talk about the death penalty and all that good stuff.
I
But we
think
have
that's
a
a
couple.
great idea.
All right, we'll do
Okay.
it. But we have a couple topics we wanted to get to today. So, Christina, there's
So-
some new laws coming out.
Yeah. So speaking of,
Now, are we talking Arizona laws, or are we talking?
these are Arizona laws, and I saw
Okay.
this on the Arizona Capital Times website. There are hundreds of laws that went into effect, and I'll share the story if anyone. Actually, the article is on the event for the No Limits Radio Showcase. So if you want to see all of the other laws that have gone into effect and that are going into effect, because ignorance of the law is not a defense.
I've survived 42 years.
Okay, so one of the laws, it's actually a crime to provide someone the means to commit suicide. So, did you know? So this was my thought. When I saw that, I thought, okay, are they going to take helium off the shelves? Because helium, oh, maybe that's what we use for the death penalty.
Helium?
Helium is actually a very clean way to die because it's a thing. You can go to Wikipedia. It's
Can we
death
talk-
by helium.
Okay, Wikipedia. I can put death by a bagel. I mean, I can put anything I want.
It's a thing. Like you ingest too much helium, you pass out and you die from helium.
But then that person would have to inhale the helium.
If you put,
But whoever sold them the helium have provided someone the means to commit suicide. So nobody can buy helium anymore.
Okay, let me understand this. Did you read this law in its entirety? Because I have not, but I want to ask you a question, but you might not know the answer. Did you read it in its entirety?
I read another law makes it a crime to provide someone the means to commit suicide.
Okay, but because I'm going to assume with that being the
That's
law,
like me handing Michelle
that's
a gun and said, have fun.
that's someone saying, I'm going to kill myself, help me, and they
Yeah.
bring me the gun, or they bring me the prescription, or they bring me whatever. Versus,
Going to Home Depot.
I sold a gun on Craigslist, and I did everything legally I'm supposed to do, and now this kid a year later killed himself, so now it's against the law because he used that gun that he bought from me to kill
So you're
himself.
saying we need a lawyer in here to help us dissect this?
Well, I just feel you're looking at the law wrong
title.
because then nothing would be able to be sold. Prescriptions wouldn't be able to be sold.
Exactly.
Well, I guess we're shit out of luck. We're
I
going
guess
back
so.
to the West.
okay, so it's a thing. Doctors can assist you in your suicides. Like I found out about this from Grey's Anatomy. There was no, but it's actually a thing. Like, I Googled it.
Okay, go ahead. I want to listen.
There's
loves that
this lady, she had some disease and she was just like miserable, and she decided that she wanted to die. So the doctor writes the prescription for the drug, and then they go get it, and then she dies. So would that be illegal?
Yes, that would be providing someone the means to commit suicide.
And that falls more under what Michelle was saying, right? With the whole, I want to die, let me help you.
See, and I guess maybe it's like when somebody wants to commit suicide, why is it against the law? Like, no.
Did you really just go?
Yes. If somebody really wants to commit suicide, because for a person to get to that point of, I want to commit suicide, they are in so much pain. Yes, I absolutely think that there should be interventions. I absolutely think that there should be mental health available to them. But when none of that works and the person says, I've exhausted every means, or I have a terminal illness, I don't want to live anymore, and maybe it's the libertarian in me, and maybe I'm not a Republican, maybe I'm more libertarian than I realized, but why are we preventing them from that? I mean,
Well, are you?
Okay, I think you're saying the act of suicide is illegal?
yeah.
Is it?
I guess my question to you is, are you talking about?
She's not talking about the aiding, she's talking about,
No, I'm going to go back to her blanket statement about
Okay.
suicide is okay. I'm going to go
I'm
back
not
to
saying
that.
suicide is okay.
You just
No,
said
I'm
if
not
someone wants to kill themselves,
That's their choice.
And you should be able to help them.
No, you should not be able to
No,
help them.
she's talking just
If
on her
somebody
own.
wants to kill themselves,
It's okay.
that's their choice, and they should be able to do that. I'm not going to help somebody kill themselves.
You're gonna help someone get better.
I'm going to try to help someone get better, but if at the end of the day they've said, you know what, I'm ready to check out,
Then you're okay helping them.
I'm not okay helping them, but I'm okay with them making that choice. And I think most people are not okay with them making that choice. So in other news,
So my question is suicide illegal as a thing?
Just remind me if I'm having a bad day not to call Christina. Anybody out there, if you need help, call me.
well,
If she calls me the bitch, please call me versus her. I will take your phone call.
I don't know that it's illegal, but if you, San Francisco Bay Bridge, they're building a huge net so that people will stop killing themselves on this. People stand on the rooftop of a building and the police come out and everybody tries to stop them.
Well, I know like insurance policies, if you haven't had them for a certain time, you're not, if you commit suicide, your family's not going to get the benefits. I think it's the same for the military. So I don't know that it's necessarily against the law. However, they definitely don't.
Right.
They definitely intervene. And if you
Correct.
try to kill yourself, somebody is going to intervene and stop you.
And I feel in most situations, someone should intervene and stop them. I mean, I understand if someone's terminally ill and it's like, listen, I fought this. I mean, I'm in pain every single day. Just please give me an extra dose of morphine. I mean, I'm dying, whether it's today or in a month. I kind of understand that. However, to make the statement that if someone wants to do that and they've gone through everything, I feel like there are so many people out there right now, whether we're talking about young children, whether we're talking about military PTSD, that don't seek out the help that they should seek out before they make that choice and they
Right.
feel like that is the only choice. So I guess there's a big difference for me as far as, listen, I'm terminally ill and dying, please help me, or
Mhm.
yes, this is what I'm choosing to do, versus the thousands and thousands of people who are taking their life, and we need to have more awareness for that so that they're reaching help.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Wow, good, I'm glad, Christina. And they call me the bitch, seriously. I cannot believe that this is my stance versus hers
Michelle's
today.
pardon, yeah.
Wow, I'm like an angel. Do you see the halo? Because it's there today.
It's still different. So another law that it has gone into effect addresses the issue of revenge porn, which Michelle perks up. Is that a bad thing?
No. I'm okay with this law.
Okay. So where someone may have taken a compromising photo during a relationship that was not meant to be shared with others. The law deals with what happens when the relationship ends, often badly, and the image gets placed online. I'm glad that this is a law. I'm really sad that we have to have a law like this. I'm surprised that this wasn't already a law. And I think the next step to this is, the space of online is one that I think legalities are still trying to catch up to.
Sure.
They really haven't gotten a handle on it. Currently, it is not illegal to if somebody wanted to take all of your social media pictures and then create another profile in whatever name they want. I mean, they could put your name, they could put any name, and they could create another social media profile with your likeness. That is not illegal. And that, I think, is disgusting. I think that, and I heard this story about a teenager who had this done, where they had taken pictures of her and created a profile, and when the mother was outraged, there was nothing that police officers could do because it's not illegal. So I'm glad that they did this, and I think next step is to take it to that level.
Yeah, because the problem is I love going on Facebook, like when I see that someone has this great picture or whatever, and I love the fact that I can go on and take that. Like, Desiree took that picture the other weekend when we were at the Princess, and we saw that rainbow that went all around the sun, and it was beautiful. And she took that picture, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And our friend Angel said, gosh, I would love to use that picture when she put some of her things on her business page. And I'm like, take it. It's fine. Desiree won't care. It's absolutely fine. So I love that you can do that. But on the opposite side of that, I guess you have to think a little further so you understand that you have a picture of you and your daughter or you and your your boyfriend or whatever, or the people that post the pictures of them breastfeeding their kid. You got freaks out there. They can take that picture.
Right.
So you have to look at both sides of it, and sometimes you really might want to limit, and I'd be surprised if Facebook doesn't end up changing that you can take those pictures.
Right.
But who knows? I don't know. I agree with the law. Sam?
I got nothing right now.
Nothing on revenge porn?
Sorry, I'm watching technical things right now.
She has, she says, Matt, if you guys break up, she's fine with the law, whether it's there or not. So go ahead. Do your revenge porn.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Sam? Sky?
I'm happy that that's a law. I know so many girls who have sent naked pictures to boyfriends and whatnot, and then they break up and the pictures end up on Twitter, and it's sad.
It's very sad.
It is sad, but that also goes back to teaching our young kids to not do that. You know, it's, you know, I know when you're in that age and there's, you know, the fun and the chemistry and all of that's there, and you kind of don't think about it, but, you know, we need to teach our kids that, hey, that's something that's going to be there for a long time.
I don't know why people do it. I just think it's so dumb.
Okay, this law kind of freaks me out. And I just want to know why it's necessary to make this a law, because if this is a law, like, I want PSAs right now addressing this law. Okay, and here it is. Mandating state emergency officials to prepare recommendations for how people should be ready for an electromagnetic pulse from a nuclear device that would paralyze the power grid. That's a law. Okay, so I'm going to read that again because, Michelle, you look like your brain's going, what?
Yeah, is this one of those conspiracy theory things? Because
this is on AZ Capital Times as a law for Arizona. Mandating state emergency officials to prepare recommendations for how people should be ready for an electromagnetic pulse from a nuclear device that would paralyze the power grid. So I was like, wow, shit, is that a thing? So I went to Google and I did a search for an EMP attack, which is what that would be. I'm gonna put on my glasses.
What'd you find out?
Oh, it's getting serious now. Oh,
Yeah. So an electromagnetic pulse attack on the United States, whether man-made or naturally occurring, could result in the deaths of 9 out of 10 Americans through starvation, disease, collapse. Modern Society warned Dr. Vincent Peter Fry, a member of the Congressional EMP Commission. They have a Congressional EMP Commission. So this is a thing. This is a thing that people in Washington are getting together and talking about. So what are we going to do when there's an EMP attack?
Well, you know, the military has to make plans for any ever sort of attack possible. They have to have plans in history, and they must be updated every so many years.
I want to know what to do. Like,
She wants to know the likelihood of this happening.
Yeah, she's getting
Well,
ready.
Well,
do I need like
listen,
a bunker?
if 9 out of 10 of everybody's going to die, just let me go. Mass suicide, because, you know, I mean, how many people are going to be left, and are you going to
It's
want to
gonna
be with
suck.
them? And it's going to suck, and it's going to be like that book in that movie called The Road, you know, where people are like eating everybody because they don't have any food. So I would just prefer to be one of them.
Okay, so this is
I'm
what
okay
this
with it.
Dr. Vincent Price said. A natural EMP catastrophe or nuclear EMP attack could black out the national electric grid for months or years and collapse all other critical infrastructures, communication, transportation, banking, finance, food, water, necessary to sustain modern society and the lives of 310 million Americans. Okay, Sam, I know that right now you're kind of dealing with this because you don't have internet.
I don't.
What is life like without internet?
It's very hard to function, just because of job, work, and everything like that.
I can't eat. I can't sleep.
So I can do that.
I can't piss.
I can do that too.
Have
But
you ever
no,
seen the show Naked and Afraid?
Yes.
Okay.
dumbest
so-
show ever. People get sick, and like one person got paralyzed from that show.
They do, but they always manage to find clean
They do.
water. So when I read this, I was like,
That's
okay,
good.
wait a
They're
second.
paralyzed, but they got clean water. We're fine, everybody.
If I could just get to it. It's all the way over there. Sorry.
But think of it. On Naked and Afraid, they don't have any clothes. They don't have any shoes. So if there was an EMP attack, we've got clothes. We have shoes. So we just have to get to the clean water.
That's a relief.
Well, you realize we live in Arizona, so maybe we should move
Yeah.
because there's not a whole lot of it here.
That is true.
All right, now we're closing on our 5 minutes
All
here.
right.
So I guess we're not gonna talk about 50 Shades of
We
Grey.
can do that real quick if you want.
All right, let's talk about it. Who read the
50
book?
Shades of Grey. I've read all the books, all 3 of
I
them.
haven't read them.
Have you read them?
No.
Did you read them?
Well,
Have you read them?
not cool, apparently.
I read part of the first book. I didn't finish it.
So you guys saw the trailer?
I saw the trailer,
Okay.
and
That came out, like, yesterday, day before?
Thursday, yeah.
yeah,
Thursday, right?
Yep.
2 days
2
ago.
days ago. All right.
I was disappointed in the casting.
Casting's horrible.
Now, you
I'll
saw
agree.
who was supposed to be the original guy,
Yes,
right?
Jax.
It was supposed to be this guy, too. You know who that is? It's the main guy from Tron.
I don't
Legacy.
think anybody wanted to do it.
You know, some of them did, some of them didn't. He was almost into the role, but he was forced into it a little bit by Universal, and they were agreeing to do a chemistry with the actress, and it just wasn't working. But then again, I don't think I tried very hard. I wouldn't want this to define my career as an actor. And I
What's
think-
wrong with this movie defining your career?
Well, it's like Edward Cullen, right, for the whole Twilight thing. He doesn't want to be known as Sparkling Vampire Boy.
But can't
You
you
know?
say that about almost every actor or actress who has that one big
I
movie?
would
They
like to-
either that's all they have, or they are so good that they go ahead and they do more films
Yeah.
and they are known for other things.
But
you know?
I'm talking more like the ones of like the pop culture iconic ones, you know, Harry Potter, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. You're always gonna know Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker.
Who cares? Those people are rich. So what if they never do
Yeah,
another
but
great movie?
if you're an actor and you actually do love it for the acting, you know, that you don't want to get stuck and be like, well, last thing you'll ever see me in is a half-naked Grace, 50 Shades of Grey. I almost said Grey's Anatomy.
You know what? I'm disappointed in what this book says about relationships and how controlling he was. I'm also disappointed in the fact that
It's a fantasy
What?
novel.
Go ahead, finish, but then I'm going to finish for you because you only read half of the book. So for you to make that statement is
okay, I
very
read
something
3/4 of the book.
of one of the books.
Yes,
You haven't read the whole series. So you said you were disappointed to
I'm
what it
disappointed in her
portrays
self-confidence. I'm disappointed in her self-esteem. I'm disappointed in her character. I was also a little bit disappointed that all of those things about her that I don't like, when I read the book, I absolutely identified with her. And so, not that I went out and sought out Christian Grey. Not that I would have said no. But
Well,
no, I would have said no.
the reality is if you read all of the books, he changes all of that in her.
Which
That
is
low
what every
self-esteem.
girl thinks. Okay, the bad boy. If I just love him enough, he's gonna.
No.
change.
the
It's
idea-
not.
It's really damaging though. It's the idea that if you love your abuser enough, he will change and he'll get better. Like, it's a really bad.
You think it's if he loves. You
If
think
she-
the book is about him being an abuser?
I mean, he is abusive.
He's not abusive.
Yeah.
It's a different way of. It's a different way of life. It's not. She's not abusive. She stops.
The BDSM community
Mhm.
was
Does-
outraged about this because this isn't how it is supposed to be.
It's not safe.
Because
and
why?
Consensual or whatever.
It is consensual. It is consensual in this book. Here's my philosophy. I know we don't have a lot of time on this book,
No.
so we can go into S&M and all that other stuff, maybe another show. But people are outraged about this book and about the movie and the trailer and the whatever, and they're talking about being X-rated and all this other stuff. However, how many comedy book or movies, excuse me, or comedies are out there where you see a woman who the guy's driving the car and you don't see a woman and all of a sudden you see the woman pop up or the guy's head go back and that's okay. So that's okay and funny for us to show women giving men head driving down the road or whatever it is, but a book that's talking about a different type of sexual experience for people is so wrong. And that's wrong. It's okay for the blonde bimbo to give a guy head, but it's not okay for two people to experience this type of sexual relationship.
But those two things are.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the BDSM community. I mean, awesome, great, do what you need. But the way they
Do what you need. Also great, do what you need.
You got 1 minute. Say what you need.
The way that he does it, though, like, he almost rapes her in one of the scenes. He's like, don't scream. Your friend's right outside the door. I will gag you if you scream. Like, he's
Isn't that
literally...
supposed to be part of the experience, though?
I think that's role playing.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be.
I don't know that you're, okay, in your defense, I hope you're not old enough to have a lot of experience in sexuality.
uncomfortable with this conversation right now.
No, but what I'm saying is when you're older, there are times you're going to want to role play. And I think that depending on the situation, I think certain people are looking at that in certain ways.
Mhm.
So, like I said, the movie's not even out yet and people are outraged by it. You haven't even seen it.
We'll talk more about this next week.
Yeah,
I
I
got
gotta
my
go. I gotta
17-year-old
get tied up. No, I'm just kidding.
This has been No Limits Radio. I'm Christina.
And I'm Michelle.
We'll see you next week.
All right, we're good.
I love watching the mom talk. That's great.
Oh, jeez. BDSM.